What's up, everybody? You may be asking yourself why I'm short. Wow, that was a great start. You may be asking yourself, Tyler, why you shirtless right now? Essentially, I just figured I'd do this video right now, and I kind of just want to do it spontaneously. I don't want to put much thought into it, and I was shirtless when I made the decision to record this, so we're just gonna go with it. I want to be more in the moment. What are we talking about here? So we're talking about the song that I just released, Didn't Anyone Tell You? Specifically, we're gonna talk about the outro and the guitar solo. For me, it might be my favorite part of the song. I like the chorus, the hook. I really like the outro. I like the tone I got for those guitars that are playing on the left and right. I really like that distortion tone that I got there. It's really raw sounding, and it feels aggressive, but also like motivating a little bit. I like the chords that I put behind it. It gives it that motivation feeling. And that synth part, that riff that comes in, I like that as well. And then obviously the guitar solo, I put a lot of effort into that. So for me, soloing these days, I don't do it as much in my day-to-day when I play guitar, when I work on my craft. I used to way more when I was in a band and would play live more. I wanted to make sure that my fingers were at that point where I could just rip a solo whenever. Especially when we were jamming, like having long improvised jams. You know, you would build up that endurance, but I don't have that anymore. I've been more focused on songwriting these last few years, so I don't usually spend my time playing lead guitar or soloing for, more than 8 bars or something like that. And in past recordings, I think I really only, for the most part, in past recordings, I would really just solo for like 8 bars or something like that. This was a long one. It's almost half the song, the outro, and I solo through most of it, and it was difficult. It was hard to sustain that. I had to come. So first, I want to talk about the approach of the solo and how I came up with it. And for me, I didn't want to know what I was going to play exactly, but I wanted to kind of formulate, at least internally, where I was going to go with this solo. I wanted it to tell a story. I wanted it to have that arc, to have that climax, and then the tail off at the end. And for me, that took about 15 to 20 improv takes. So no recording, just playing the outro and essentially shedding over that for about 15 times. And after that, I had a good understanding of what I was going to be doing when I hit record. So after that, it took a bit because it's a long solo. I wasn't going to just do it on one take. And when it came to recording it, essentially what I did was I would hit record and play until I felt like I fell off a little bit, meaning I wasn't playing kind of what I was going for originally, or meaning that like as soon as I felt like I wasn't saying what I wanted to say and what I came up with internally, once I fell off of that, kind of lost the vision of it, I would stop recording and see if I could punch myself in somewhere and pick up from there. Or if I just felt my fingers, like the feeling wasn't there, right? Like I felt like maybe I was starting to lose some strength and durability in my fingers, so I would stop then. Or if I just didn't feel it, if I took a take and the energy and the emotion, the vibe wasn't there, then I would stop and re-record or punch myself in from where I felt like it left off. So That was my approach to recording. That was tedious. I don't usually like, especially with recordings, especially with solos, I don't like to record that way. If I'm playing a guitar solo, I want it to be as free as possible. I want it to be in just a couple takes. But this, again, it was so long, and it had been a long time since I actually recorded a solo. It had been a couple years. So for this, it took me a lot of takes and a lot of punching in and picking up where I left off. And then halfway through the solo, I felt I hit my stride, definitely. And I think from the halfway point on, it took like 1 or 2 takes, especially because I started playing that riff, and that was able to take up some time as well. So for me, that was how I approached recording it. Now, after hearing it back, initially I was pumped. I really liked what I captured, but over time, like spending a month after that, once I started to mix it, I really heard the ego in the solo. I heard myself showing off a bit. I felt a little bit like, hey, look what I can do. Shout out to Lil Stewart, Mad TV. Yeah, I just felt that maybe it was because of my adrenaline going at the time while I was recording it. I was really liking what I was hearing, and I was really, really digging the outro altogether. So maybe it was adrenaline. Maybe it's just, it's been a while. It's been a few years since I've released music publicly, and it really, I'm anxious about it. And so maybe there is some of that where I'm like, hey, I want to show you like what I can do, because it's been a while and all the stuff's like backed up. But I do, when I listen back, I'm not, and what I mean by ego, it's a little bit of like I'm thinking of myself and others and how it comes off, instead of like being purely in the moment, engaged in the essence of it all, the vibe, the emotion of it. That to me is what it's all about, and why I love music when listening or creating and performing it. I love those moments of just being like immersed in it and totally engaged in it. And when you're totally engaged, you're not thinking of yourself. You're not thinking of what other people may think of it or whatever. You're just in it. You're in the moment, right? And that's what I love. And whether it's playing lead guitar or any other instrument, singing, writing, creating, recording, mixing, I like to be more engaged in the moment instead of thinking or doing something consciously because I want it to come across like this. Sometimes that's good too, but most of the time I like to go with the intuitive thing, which comes from being just kind of in the moment there. So I do like the solos still. I feel like I could have done a better job. I could have done a better job of slowing down, maybe. Meaning like I didn't have to try to fit as much into this solo, as many notes or different rhythms or whatever. I should have just let it be whatever it was going to be. And going forward, it's a nice thing to learn from this. I want to make music that is more about hitting people emotionally, making people think, creating like this world for people to be immersed in, building, community and communication and things like that. That's what I want to do with music, and I want to focus on that instead of focus on my technical abilities or my ability to accomplish some type of technique or technical thing. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm kind of just rambling. All right. So that's that with the solo. In terms of influences, I think you could definitely tell I've been influenced by the R3 Modern Kings. It's a great YouTube video. I think Guitar Magazine, Guitar Player, one of these magazines did a front cover shoot of Frusciante, John Mayer, and Derek Trucks. This is like 2005, 2006. They were releasing music, and it was a great time for modern guitar centric music. Red Hot Chili Peppers just released their double album Stadium Arcadium. Frusciante's guitar playing on that was awesome, and the recording, the production of it all was awesome. Derek Trucks band, that album that came out, can't think of the name, but very much inspired by that Eastern influence, the Indian music influence. His slide playing, amazing at the time when that came out. Was like, what is this? This is amazing. We haven't really heard at that point. I had never heard anything like that with slide playing. That Eastern influence. It was great. And then his gospel and R&B blues playing was amazing as well. I remember hearing that album for the first time in this kid's basement in high school. We used to go and play. He had like this whole setup music. He had this whole like band setup in his basement. He had drums, bass, guitar, amps, microphones, recording equipment, and we would just go there to chill and play music. And he played us Derek Trucks, and I was like, oh my god, this shit's amazing. I love this. So he had just come out with an album, and then John Mayer with Continuum and the John Mayer Trio. These three albums came out around the same time, and so there was this magazine shoot for it was called like the Three Kings, or the Three Modern Kings, as opposed to like BB, Freddie, and Albert King from back in the day, the blues days. These were like for the modern generation. And look, you could hear it. You go on Instagram, TikTok, if you start consuming guitar content, you're gonna hear a lot of especially John Mayer influence. Also Derek Trucks, and then Frusciante. There's a decent amount of Frusciante descendants nowadays. So, definitely, I was 2005, 6, I'm 13, I think, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that range. And I had just been playing guitar for a couple years, and those guys definitely influenced and inspired my playing. And I think you could hear that in this solo. You can hear Frusciante, especially in those lead the guitars going on in the left and right. You can hear Frusciante's influence. I think what I could point to in that, when I listen back to those left and right guitars, I feel like I'm hearing a little bit of what he does in his solo for Suck My Kiss. Take a listen to that solo, and then listen to those guitars going on in the left and right. There's definitely a little bit of that in there, or a lot of that. And look, not consciously thinking of it when you create it. It's in you, right? I've listened to the Chili Peppers so much, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I've listened to that album so much that it's just in me. So, when I'm in the moment, like I was saying before, like engage in the moment, just kind of following that muse, whatever it is. Sometimes when something comes out, you can listen back and be like, that's where it comes from. So I think with that, when I listen back, I'm pretty sure it's that. I'd have to take another listen, but I think it's that. That's a good reference for it. And then in terms of the actual solo and the phrasing that I have in it, and the different the lines and sequences of everything. There's John Mayer in that, Derek Trucks, Frusciante once again. Those are the three main ones. Obviously, there's I've been influenced by Hendrix, and there's countless of people, but those are the three that maybe are most well known today. And with this specific solo, I could hear a lot of them in it. So let me know if you hear something else, if you hear another artist in my playing, or that's inspired it, or another element of the song that you think is interesting, or you want to point out. Let me know. Always want to hear some feedback. And yeah, that's really it. I think that's all I got for you. So now we'll go to the performance side of things. And what I'm doing here is I just decided to switch things up a bit with the outro. I got so essentially I just slowed it down and detuned it a bit, and then just decided to solo with that auto wah effect on my guitar, and just did a one take. So I did the opposite of how I approached the recording. This was just completely one take, improv. Really, that was it. Not much thought went into it, more just intuitive and in the moment. So that's what I got for you with this performance. Hope you like it. Hope you dig it. And yeah.
Bye.